Okay, before I take you out into the garden, I'm going to quickly show you a few of the herbs that we're going to basically identify, but I want to show you kind of what we're going to look at here. This is all part of the mint family. I have a chocolate mint, which is delicious, and a peppermint, and then lemon balm. And what's cool about the mint family is that each of these have square stems, and then they have opposite leaves. So that's how you can tell if something's in the mint family. Even things like catnip and catmint are in it too. So if you look closely, it's hard to tell because these are kind of small, but feeling them, you can definitely feel where the ridges hit. So we have lemon balm and the chocolate mint and then the peppermint. Then the other two that are easy to get mixed up is the Yarrow and the Tansy. Now I know they look very different right now, but when you start seeing them together, it's you kind of go, oh, well, this one's kind of feathery too. But it's not quite as delicate as the Yarrow is, and so that's kind of the key identifier. You have these tiny, tiny little feathery leaves. It's Achillea millefolium, which is basically, hundreds or thousands of leaves, which would kind of explain its look. Then we have Willy Lamphere and Mullen, and I deliberately chose a small mullen leaf because I wanted to show the difference. These can be very difficult sometimes to identify one from the other. So this one is more silvery, as you can see. They both have a furry feel, but this one is very, very thick, the Willy Lamphere. When you turn it over, on the mullen, you can see much more of the veining than you can in the Willy Lamphere. And honestly, if you could feel this, it's so soft. That's why it makes such a great bandage. So these are some of the things that we're going to be talking about and identifying out in the garden in just a minute. Okay, so yarrow, and I am going to mention one medicinal thing. The leaves, after the flower has come up, the leaves dried and made into a powder are really good to carry around in an emergency kit for a bleeding injury because it will stop bleeding. The next thing we're going to talk about is Willy Lamphere. And what's awesome is I did not plant this. This was, obviously it started out as a garden plant and it's just escaped and it's now kind of outside my little guild that I have going here. I have a lot of other plants outside the guild, but this guy just likes to grow. The great thing about this is, first of all, they are so incredibly soft and they are edible. Excuse all my chickens, but it is wonderful as a wound dressing. It has antibacterial and anti-inflammatory properties, and it's very soft. So if you have an injury that's very sensitive, this is a good thing to use. I honestly would rather use this than a regular Band-Aid, even in non-emergency situations. I used this on one of my daughter's legs when she got bit by, we think, a spider, and we were treating it with herbs, but this was the bandage that we put on at night to keep it from bleeding onto bed sheets and things like that, or oozing. And it, like I said, it has antiseptic, antibacterial, and anti-inflammatory properties, so it's also helpful in recovery after injury. So let's see. Okay, I've got a lot of lemon balm, and I try to control the lemon balm because it does like to grow. However, it makes a wonderful tea and a wonderful medicinal, and honestly, just walking out here and grabbing a plant and chewing the leaves is very tasty. It is in the mint family, and it's very difficult to see right now because everything's so small still, but I'm going to pull one. Yeah, it's going to be hard to see. Anything in the mint family will have kind of a square stem, and this does. I can feel it, but it just hasn't fully matured into that yet. I have what I think is peppermint here. Yes. And then I have a nice chocolate mint, which really isn't medicinal, but I do like to come out here and grab some chocolate mint. It tastes like I'm eating like Andes mint. I love it. I highly recommend chocolate mint. So I have a lot of mint going on here. Excuse my shadows. And mint is great for the stomach. It really is, and for cooling even fevers. and cooling hotness, and especially, you know, drinking tea in the summer. Okay, here we're growing comfrey. I've got a small little one over there. That was my original plant, and it has expanded to here, which is great because I could never have enough comfrey. This is great for the skin, healing all kinds of wounds, and it's, you know, its nickname is knit bone. Sorry. So it helps with bone injuries and things like that, using it as a compress. You can drink it internally, but I'm not going to go into that detail right now. Let's see. Well, I'm going to come out here because I do want to talk a little bit about the difference between Mullen and our Lamphere, Willy Lamphere. I'm trying to find my Mullen. Mullen just grows wild here, so I'm leaving it. So, you know, if you look at the shape of the leaf, and if you could feel it, the thickness between Mullen and Lamphere is pretty obvious. This also it's not covered with the silver hairs in the back. So this is Mullen, and this is great for, the leaves are great for coughs, and also the flowers are great for ear. So this is my little guild. I've got a lot more things in here that I'm not talking about. I've got some lavender, some catnip, some parsley coming up, things like that. But I want to move out into our property a little bit and show you some of the things that are just growing out there. Okay, so we have two things I'm going to point out, and the first one is this. This is horsetail, and it's in its spore stage. I don't know if you can see, but we've got it all over this hillside. It's been a very, very wet spring, and it just looks like the horsetail liked it. We had really none of this going on last year, so it's interesting how much it's spread. I'm sure we'll be able to get control of it pretty easily. But anyway, horsetail is a medicinal, so as it begins to actually leaf out, I'll be collecting some of this. This right here is Tansy, and you know, I wouldn't necessarily recommend taking it internally. It's not a super safe herb. It can be used externally. It can have, though, a stimulating effect even when used on the skin. But one of the best things it's good for is if you're out in the forest and having issues with bugs and there's some tansy around, you can grab the leaves, crush it up, and kind of rub it on your skin. It also can be used in its dried form if you go hunting and you want to keep bugs away from the meat. Bring along dried tansy, and you can place it in socks or, you know, muslin bags or whatever around and on the meat to keep the bugs off. Oh, so we are going to talk about oxeye daisy. Here it is, and honestly, in this state, this little small state, it is delicious, sweet little leaves. I think that gathering that up might be a pain, but when I walk around, I do eat it. I think we might have some shepherd's purse here too. No, maybe not. Okay, so I think we've covered almost everything. Okay, so it's funny that a couple years ago, or almost 3 years ago when we bought the property, I couldn't really find any plantain, and I was out a couple days ago just hunting, or maybe it was yesterday, hunting and looking for plantain, and I finally found some. So I'm pretty happy. So this is the lanceolata, and because it's, you know, I don't know, the lance-shaped leaves, but you can see there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines, the veins going from the stem to the tip. Okay, there's other plants that have similar shaped leaves that are not plantain. I'm going to grab one here. And so you can see the difference. That has 1 primary vein, whereas plantain has those 5. And so that's how you can tell the difference between, you know, before the flowers come up, before anything, you can just see the leaves, and you can know that you're grabbing plantain. I also have the Plantago Major here, trying to find one. The difference between the Major and the Lanceolata is the shape of the leaf. Here we go. So this one's, you know, a lot fatter and almost has a wrinkly texture, but again, you can see these lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's what you'd be looking for. So, of course, that's an edible, very useful for insect bites or things like that. And then there's the dandelion, which all of us think of as weeds, but it's quite tasty and great for the liver and a lot of other things. I would tell you people use it as a coffee substitute, but it doesn't substitute for coffee. Not if you're a coffee drinker. So anyway, that's a few of the herbs that we have growing here. And oh, see, I just want to show you, we have a lot of dandelion over there, and when we get our rabbits on, they're going to be very, very happy. They love dandelion. And I'll probably go in there and harvest some of the roots. So hope you enjoyed the video and you learned something. Leave a comment. Thanks.